Zombies don't hunt based on horsepower, they hunt based on noise and heat signature. Most survivors instinctively choose the fastest vehicle, mistaking raw speed for long-term safety. This is a fatal miscalculation. This strategy ignores the ultimate mortality risk, the logistical failure that leaves you stranded far from resources. We are talking about sustained operational security, where running out of fuel or breaking a single complex component is a death sentence measured in hours. Viability is not measured in range or velocity, but in long-term operational resilience, measured by the ability to repair, refuel, and remain concealed indefinitely. We are grading the top 5 transportation plans for sustained survival in a world overrun by the infected, ranking them based on repairability, external dependencies, stealth, and caloric efficiency. Let's analyze them, starting now with the least viable plan for sustained survival. Number 5. Heavy Motorized Transit, the Rolling Fortress. The immediate appeal is capacity and perceived safety, offering armored shelter and significant cargo volume far exceeding traditional vehicular limits. However, the systems required to sustain this platform are catastrophic liabilities. Fuel scarcity instantly converts this asset into a liability. Resource depletion is total once diesel reserves vanish. The sheer scale creates a massive thermal and acoustic signature, guaranteeing trackability by any organized human threat or clustered horde, making defense a passive waiting game. Maintenance is a specialist nightmare. Proprietary electronic control systems, highly complex diagnostics, and oversized tire requirements are far beyond field repair capabilities, creating total external dependencies on global supply networks that no longer exist. Repairability is near zero outside of a heavy maintenance bay. Furthermore, the internal collapse risk is critically high. Managing resources and governance in a large group rapidly leads to disputes over limited potable water reserves and fuel rationing, turning the safe haven into a powder keg. If this vehicle suffers a mechanical failure 300 kilometers from a known resource depot, it becomes a slow-motion sinking coffin, sealing the occupants inside while supplies dwindle and the air filtration system chokes. If fuel is cut mid-transit, this behemoth instantly becomes a high-profile, inescapable billboard trap. Verdict: high capacity, terminal dependency equals slow, inevitable entropy. Number 4. The off-road motorcycle, high-speed exposure. This platform tempts with raw speed and agility, allowing quick navigation through urban blockages and minimal fuel consumption compared to a full-sized automobile. However, speed is deceptive when weighed against operational security. The engine noise is an unacceptable liability, a high decibel radius that acts as an acoustic beacon, announcing your presence for miles, effectively eliminating distance without noise. Carry capacity is negligible, forcing frequent dangerous resupply runs, and increasing the calories needed to sustain the operator due to perpetually limited food and water stores, accelerating resource depletion. Repairability is deceivingly complex. While mechanically modest, specialized ignition coils, electronic fuel injection components, and bespoke suspension require dedicated, clean factory spares, creating an immediate external dependency on modern supply chains. Defense and exposure are minimal. The operator is fully exposed to environmental and kinetic threats, sacrificing armor for maneuverability. At night, the required high speeds greatly increase nocturnal navigation risk, where a single pothole or hidden obstacle converts a transit route into an immediate high-speed disaster, requiring complex triage and rescue. This machine is a tinderbox awaiting a spark, designed for short, aggressive bursts, not sustained, invisible travel. If the chain snaps or a bearing seizes in a contested urban zone, agility instantly ceases, trapping the rider. Verdict: maximum speed, minimal security means short operational lifespan. Number 3. The cargo bicycle or trike, calories as currency. The fundamental advantage of the pedal-powered vehicle is elegant simplicity and silence. Distance without noise is maximized, and essential external dependencies are virtually zero, relying only on basic field skills for maintenance of the chain or field repair of high-pressure tires. However, the primary fuel source is human calorie expenditure, which translates directly into extreme long-term vulnerability. Hauling significant cargo capacity, the very reason for choosing the trike, requires an unsustainable calorie rate, potentially accelerating resource depletion by consuming a month's rations in a week of hard travel. Repairability is simple for standard components, but structural failure under heavy load, particularly axle fatigue or frame stresses, is common, rendering the trike a useless heavy pile of scrap that must either be cannibalized or abandoned. Defensive exposure are non-existent. The operator is fully exposed, slow to react, and easily cornered by fast-moving threats, making stealth the only effective defense. The constant grinding caloric input required makes this platform a liability, forcing the user into more frequent high-risk foraging trips, increasing exposure. This reliance on biological fuel also heightens the risk of internal collapse due to exhaustion and nutritional failure. This reliance on biomass converts the cyclist into a caged hamster running on a wheel of constantly diminishing returns. If rations fall below critical mass for 2 days, speed drops to zero, followed by collapse. Verdict: silent movement demands unsustainable, draining biological input. Number 2. Specialized watercraft, the coastal canoe.
The appeal of water travel is immediate. It negates the primary threats of land travel, road choke points, and large, slow hordes. A small canoe or rowboat excels at ferrying across choke waters, using canals and lakes as natural defense barriers. It offers vast distance without noise, unmatched by any terrestrial machine. Carry capacity is excellent relative to propulsion effort, maximizing the time between supply stops. However, this niche solution is deeply vulnerable to external factors and environmental control. Weather dependency is overwhelmingly high. A severe storm, high wind, or unexpected current instantly renders the platform unstable or unusable, forcing long exposed waits on vulnerable shorelines. Defense is minimal. Any hostile human threat located on the shoreline effectively controls the route, making the vessel a slow-moving, exposed target in open water. Repairability is simple: patch kits or minor woodworking, minimizing external dependencies, but catastrophic damage, such as a hull breach far from accessible shore, is an absolute, unavoidable single-point failure, leading to internal collapse via drowning or hypothermia. The risk of nocturnal navigation is exponentially high due to unseen debris, floating hazards, or submerged infrastructure, severely complicating movement when stealth and darkness are most necessary. The craft is fundamentally a glass-bottomed cage, safe only until the environment turns against it or the currents decide your fate. If the hull takes damage 500 meters offshore, the voyage becomes a frantic, exposed swim. Verdict: environmental dependence mandates static delays, risking exposure and collapse. When all else fails, redundancy and concealment decide outcomes. But what use is a fortress against decay from within, or a silent speed against pure exhaustion? Number 1. The dedicated foot travel system, low signature redundancy. This plan, prioritizing the load-bearing pack over any auxiliary machine, wins decisively on the only 2 metrics that guarantee long-term survival: redundancy and complete control. Its skill curve is minimal, requiring only physical conditioning and navigational competency. External dependencies are zero. The system runs on reliable boots, repairable with needles, thread, and basic leatherwork, and the operator's calories. Stealth is maximized. The acoustic and thermal signature is near zero, offering ultimate distance without noise and the immediate ability to choose concealment in any environment. Defense is proactive. Speed is sacrificed for the ability to transit through any terrain, forest, rubble, or swamp, regardless of damage or blockage, and the power to vanish entirely into the environment. The system is inherently redundant. If one boot fails, the mission proceeds slowly. If a machine fails, the mission stops utterly. Physical failure slows, mechanical failure halts. Foot travel is the ultimate adaptive system, turning every failure into a minor delay rather than a catastrophic event. The only significant drawback is velocity, which demands superior strategic planning, strict movement windows, and adherence to calorie budgeting. The psychological toll of slow, grinding progress must also be factored into governance. This system, relying only on the human machine, is the most resilient, the most repairable, and the most invisible. It is the only true long-term logistics platform. Verdict: the resilient survivor carries his own future. The strategic lesson is singular. The most successful long-term transportation plan minimizes points of failure and ruthlessly rejects complexity. Vehicles offer temporary speed, but they introduce terminal dependencies. When resources are finite and threats are constant, the only viable transport is the one you can sustain and repair with zero reliance on the external world. Share your own top choice in the comments and subscribe to the Anomaly archives for more deep dives.